I said this to someone the other day and then I tweeted it, and if you ever want to find me on Twitter, I'm pretty readily accessible at Infidelity Scars on Twitter. And I said this to someone the other day. I said, you know what this is really about? Because they were having a difficult time and they were struggling and kept thinking that they knew everything about recovery. And I said, you know what this is really about? This is about you bottoming out and no longer thinking that you know everything that needs to happen. And he was pissed. He did not like that at all. But let me drop a good bomb of truth here. In recovery, a large part of recovery is giving up control of what you think you need to have happen in your recovery. Now, for the unfaithful spouse, that's far more palatable, okay? For the betrayed spouse, that can seem like fighting words, and I'm not trying to be controversial. I'm not trying to use fighting words with you. But a lot of times, we think we know what needs to happen, and we may, at some level, have an awareness that they need to end the affair, they need to stop the addiction, they need to get into a recovery program, sure. So there's some truth to that. Now, how that happens is a completely different story, and what needs to happen to create the bottoming out of the unfaithful is tough to be the architect of, but it usually happens pretty easily without our control. Let me make this a little bit more clear for you. For me, and predominantly for the unfaithful spouse, it's all about us bottoming out and surrendering. I love when I talk to an unfaithful spouse and they seem to know all the things that need to happen. Well, if she would just do this, and if she'd have just done that and didn't do that, I would have never had the affair anyway. And if she would just stop doing this, we could do this and everything would be off and running and our recovery would be great. And you know what? We'd have a story just like you, Samuel. And I used to get really frustrated. Now I laugh because I just remember that I'm talking to myself 10 or 11 years ago. The reality is, for you as an unfaithful, one of the best things that you can do is really bottom out and really come to the end of yourself. As long as you think that you know what needs to happen, and as long as you continue to try and make circumstances bend to your will, you're going to blow it. It's just the truth. It's just the simple, hard reality. You're probably not a therapist. You're probably not a therapist that's been doing this for 30 some odd years. You probably haven't identified a protocol for recovery, for infidelity or addiction. You probably haven't gone to school for this. If you have gone to school for this, and if you are a therapist, if you could fix yourself, you probably would have a long time ago. So one of the best things that you can do is grab hold of the truth that you can't fix yourself, just like surgeons don't operate on themselves. There's a point where you have to come to the end of yourself and say, okay, and you've got to do 4 things. Number 1 is you've got to surrender. There's a point, every addict has to come to the point where they surrender. Even if you're not an addict, as an unfaithful, you have to come to the point where you say, okay, I surrender. I'm going to stop imposing my will on everybody in my life and controlling the situation or controlling my spouse. I'm going to surrender and I'm going to get help for whatever you're dealing with. Number 2, and this is hard, you have to submit. When we started seeing Rick, there was a point where he looked me square in the face and he just said, Samuel, why won't you trust me? And that was a dark moment, because I think I really had some tears that day, because I was so afraid of being let down, and I was so afraid of being abandoned, and I was so afraid of trusting another man in authority after all that I had been through, that was a tough moment. But you're going to have to submit to the wisdom and the knowledge of whoever the expert is in your life. You're going to have to submit to that program and do what someone smarter than you, who has more training than you, who is an expert and can see what you can't see, you're going to have to submit to that and let that work in your life. Number 3, it's along the same lines. You have to embrace it. Now, there's a difference. You can maybe submit to it but not really embrace it. Like, you'll do it, but do it begrudgingly. Embracing it is where you go, look, bring it on. You know what? If I need to do this exercise, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it with a glad, thankful heart. I'm going to do it all in. I'm not going to do it begrudgingly. I'm not going to do it kind of 60%. I'm going to go all in. I'm going to give it everything I have to give because I want to get healthy. And number 4, if you are taking part in any reliable source of recovery, you're going to have to commit to the process. It doesn't just happen with a bunk on the head. It doesn't just happen where you read one book, man, I'm golden. It all has become so clear. Everything's going to be so easy now. We just need to do this. No. I'm sorry, that's not the way it is. There's going to be a process to it. And that process is going to mean that some days you take 2 or 3 steps forward. Some days you take 1 or 2, maybe even 4 steps back. Some days you're going to really gain some ground, and it's going to be beautiful and wonderful. And then there's going to be some hiccups down the road. But that's okay. You're committing to the process. You're not committing to micromanaging your recovery one day at a time, meaning, man, we had a bad day today. We're really not doing well at all. No, it was just a bad day. Or, alternatively, we've had 3 good days in a row. Man, we're awesome. We're great. We don't need to do A, B, and C anymore. And then all of a sudden, the bad day comes and you go, oh, I guess we're not healed. I guess we're not doing well. No, that's not the case either. You can't micromanage. You have to commit to the process. And within that process is time, the ability to be consistent, the ability to gain ground. And usually you're gaining ground in inches early on. And then as you really have committed to the process, and the process is working, as the commitment to gain inches pays off, before you know it, you'll be gaining feet. And you'll be really moving the ball down the field at an impressive speed. And you'll wake up one day and you'll go, whoa, do you realize it's been 6 months? Do you realize it's been 8 months? Oh my gosh, I never thought we were going to make it past the first 2 or 3 months. It happened with us. It happens every year or 2. We go, man, can you believe it's been 11 years? Who'd have thought we were going to make it?